What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
What's up, everybody? It's Calvin Johnson Jr. here, a.k.a. Megatron, a.k.a. First Ballot.
What's going on, Coach Dan at Lions Talk Live and the Do Crew? This is Ball Hawk, the Fatima of the Detroit Lions. Everybody make sure you help support the YouTube channel Lions Talk Live by clicking that like and subscribe button. Let's get it and go Detroit.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
Well, greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Hey, it's Lions Talk Live. It's a Sunday morning edition. You know what? We're going to be diving into a little bit of the NFL draft in a situation that I think we've all been talking about for a bit of time. Could the Detroit Lions be making a move on up in the NFL draft to try to acquire a targeted person or two of interest? I think the evidence is clear that the answer is yes. Doesn't mean it will happen because you always, and anytime you have a trade, you got to have two people to tango. But I do think when you look at what the Lions have done to the defensive line this offseason, that, you know, hey, this free agent window, that I think their evidence is clear. They've beefed up the middle of the interior of the defensive line. Now they got to go out and get some pass rush. We all get it. You've been rumored to get Max Crosby and rumored to get this guy, that guy, and every other guy. But what you can control is the NFL draft. And I do think the Lions are in a pretty good position to go out and do just that. We're going to dive into that. We're going to dive into 5 headlines now. We're going to dive into everything in between. But before we do that, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. We're going to make that march here for, 13,500 subscribers. And we are roughly, we'll say 80 subs away, right around there. So if you can help out with that golden objective, please consider doing so. Also, if you have half second of time, reach on down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button, hit all the buttons. Just we try to get every episode of the show between 2, 3, or 400 or more thumbs up or likes. Outside of that, if you are looking, perhaps maybe considering buying or selling property anywhere in the great state of Michigan, let alone the continental United States, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text. You see the number on the screen? Yeah, there we go, wherever it is. 269-998-2384. Let's have a conversation, see what I can do to help you out, assist you on your efforts to buy either vacant land, commercial property, or anything in between. Call me, text me, send a carrier pigeon, and we'll get you hooked up. Make sure you don't get overcharged on anything. All right, with all that done, said, out of the way, let's get the show rocking and rolling and going and get into 5 headlines now. I just got to find the button. All right, it is Sunday, so some of the headlines might not be as enticing as other days of the week, just because, a lot of times there isn't much in the offseason on a Sunday. But let's get it going. The Lions 2025 dead cap space story updated by John Macron of SI.com. Lions are in pretty good position. One thing you can say for the new regime is that we definitely don't have to deal with as much dead cap space as some other franchises across the league, let alone in the past for the Detroit Lions. Let's see, veteran cornerback Carlton Davis added roughly $10 million to the dead cap cost when he departed to the Patriots in free agency. Currently, Holmes and company have 50, we'll just say 53, that's rounding up here, 53 million in dead cap money costs. When we have dead cap money costs at roughly 53 million. Holmes typically likes to keep 15 million reserved for spending during his the regular season in case they need to acquire a player or two. All right, let's walk through what we have dead cap money in. Steel Chambers, still think that's a heck of a name for a football player, $10,000. Jalen Calhoun, $10,000. Kingsley Ukwan, $13,334. James Mitchell, $60,638. Marcus Davenport, $2,297,500. Cam Sutton, yes, that Cam Sutton, $6,540,000. Jalen Reeves-Maybin, $2,750,000. And then Carlton Davis, as I just mentioned, at basically we'll just round up and say $10 million. There are some other players on this list. Most of them are starting to go down here. Isaiah Williams, you'll remember the receiver from a year ago, $10,000. Duke Clemens, $6,667. Brian Hudson at the same amount at 6,667. Same with Isaac Ukwa at the same amount. Sheen Garnes, I don't even remember this guy, $5,334. Stephen Gilmore, $5,000. Maurice Norris, $3,334. Deron Gilbert, $1,667. That same amount goes to James Turner, and then Lauren Strickland at $1,000. So not a ton of dead cap space, but hey, some that will be coming off the books later this year when we get into next year. All right, next to the 5 headlines now, Lions predicted to draft 2-time national champ as future Graham Glasgow replacement. Story by Mike Moratis of SB Nation. We all wanted Kevin Zeitler to return. That's obviously not going to happen, but now what happens from here? I guess that's the big question. It could be that Graham Glasgow moving back to right guard is going to be what the Lions do this upcoming season. But is that going to be on a full-time basis, part-time basis? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Part of this prediction in this story from Mike Moratis, though, is the Lions are going to draft a replacement, and we all get it. Graham Glasgow did not play great last year. Could it be that it was just simply he was on the wrong side of the field and just doesn't do well at the left? I guess we'll have to wait and see. But Dylan Fairchild has the tools to develop into a solid starter if given time to fully develop. Could that be 5 games a season? I don't know. But Dylan Fairchild is 6'5", roughly 320 pounds from Georgia. He is a bit of a road grader. He has some mobility. Could he be the person of interest? If you go by Mike Moratis and his story, that is where the Lions are going to go. I wouldn't be upset about the move, although I don't think it would be a first-round type move, at least not in my opinion. Fairchild has got some real good abilities, but I do think he needs more polishing before he's going to be out there on a full-time basis to be a blocker for Jahmyr Gibbs, Dave Montgomery, and Jared Goff. But wait and see what shakes out. All right, next to the 5 glorious headlines now. Jahmyr Gibbs' stat mirrors NFL legend Marshall Faulk. Athlon Sports by Ryan Harris. And you know what? I was not aware of this stat until this story. Maybe you guys were. I definitely wasn't. And if I did know it before, I don't remember it. Last season, Gibbs had 302 touches, totaling 1,929 yards, an astonishing 6.4 yards per touch. Among players with a minimum of 300 touches in a single season in this century, only Marshall Faulk has recorded a higher average with 6.6 yards per touch, during the last century. How about that? This touch in the remarkable 2000 season. So Marshall Faulk, we all get it. If you were old enough to remember Marshall Faulk, he could run, he could catch. I mean, there was really nothing he couldn't do to help an offense go forward. I think there's a lot of validity to trying to compare Marshall Faulk to Jahmyr Gibbs just because they are so similar in different ways. Gibbs can catch it out of the backfield. He can run all over the place as far as pass patterns. He's incredibly God-given, fast, athletic, and he can run the ball. We all talked about it after the Washington Commanders game. There was a lot of surprise from, I think, most Lions fans that Gibbs, 1, wasn't the starting running back, 2, that he wasn't more involved in the offense. I'm not going to go into why that all was. I think we all kind of get it. Maybe there was not a lot of planning going on, but what we can say is Gibbs appears to be a generational talent, unlike most running backs we've ever seen. You could put him, at least right now, I'm not going to put him in the Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, or any kind of running back like that conversation. But if he has a couple more seasons like he did last year, I think he might be in that conversation. We might all, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever, be looking back on that trade from 6, where the Lions moved down to 12 to get Gibbs, and say that might have been one of the biggest trades in Detroit Lions history. And it's nothing against Carter. Carter is a great player, great defensive tackle. If he was here in Detroit, we'd all probably be singing his praises. But what we can say is Gibbs might just be the equal, but at a running back position. And the fact that you got someone else on top of it, Sam Laporta, who's, I don't know if he's going to be in the same conversation as Gibbs, but you know what? He's going to be probably considered a pretty good tight end in this league for a long time. The fact that you got a 2-for-1 deal probably means that trade went Detroit's way. Although, you know what? If it didn't happen, I don't think any of us would be crying. But Gibbs is a true game changer and the one that the Lions probably haven't seen since Barry Sanders. End of the day, what are your thoughts on Gibbs? Do you think he should be getting more snaps next year? Last year, they tried to keep it as 50-50 as they possibly could between him and Montgomery until Montgomery got hurt. But do you think next year Gibbs should get 60, 70, 80, 100% of the snaps? Let me know in the comments section, and we'll move on to the next of the 5 glorious headlines now. All right, updated Lions defensive depth chart. Detroit Lions on SI by Christian Bohr. Bohr has posted the Lions' first unofficial depth chart for the defense, and let's walk through it. Defensive end starters, Aiden Hutchinson and Josh Pascal. I think most of us would have thought that it would have been Marcus Davenport, but they, at least on this one, have Davenport being the backup along with Isaac Ukwu and Nate Lynn. Davenport, I get it. The guy's got abilities, but he's one ability he doesn't have is availability. Will he be able to pan out this year, maybe as a backup or as a rotational player? I don't know, but I'm hoping so. Defensive tackle starters, and this is the kind of defensive tackle one, I should say. We should say that the Levi Onwuzurike right now is probably going to be the starter at this spot. He came on last year, the last month or so, had a phenomenal season, played great in that regards. His first real season in the NFL where he was kind of back pain free, able to develop. Did a good job. Backups to him would be Mekhi Wingo, Miles Adams, and Chris Smith. I think we're all okay with that. Injured on the list, as we all know, is Aleem McNeil. When he comes back, assuming he's regained his form and everything, he might assume the starting spot there. Nose tackle, probably no big surprise here. DJ Reader, Roy Lopez, and Broderick Martin back him up. Broderick Martin, yes, we don't know if he's going to ever be something, hoping that can identify itself this year and maybe he can live up to some of that potential. Linebackers, Jack Campbell, Alex Anzalone, Derek Barnes. We probably all agree with that. Backups, Malcolm Rodriguez, once he's all healed up. Grant Stewart, Ezekiel Turner, Trevor Nowaski, Anthony Pittman, Duron Gilbert, and Abraham Beauplan. Hey, Bo Booth. Hey, the Beauplan man is back. Cornerbacks, let's go with DJ Reed, Terrion Arnold. Backups, Rakestraw, Stanley, Thomas Oliver, and Maurice Norris. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions look to address the backups there a little bit more. It's not that I don't like those guys, but you know what? I think outside of Rakestraw, you probably don't have a big commitment to any of them. Might want to see if you can get even better at that spot. Safeties, no-brainer here. Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph. If you can find a better combo in the NFL, I want to know who that could be because I do believe that is the best combination at the safety spot in the entire NFL. Backups, Norris, Lawrence Strickland, and Eric Hullett. Again, could this be an area they beef up? Absolutely. So Strickland, you guys know if you watch this channel for any time, I like the kid. I think he's got a lot of abilities, but I do think he needs more grooming. So that's his defensive depth chart. We'll see if that holds water. Best remaining linebacker free agents available for Lions. Detroit Lions on SI, story by John Macaron with this one. So Macaron is put together a list. I get it. Hey, everybody wants the Lions to go out and get somebody to just kind of quell the worries we all have about the pass rush situation. He goes through it, and I don't think there's really a long list. Zeke Ogueria, a former second round pick who played 46 career games since joining the NFL in 2021. He's probably the best one out there as far as just getting to the quarterback on a consistent basis. The problem with him, as we all know, is, man, the last 3 or so years, the guy just can't stay on the field for any length of time. Sounds like a Detroit Lions signing, if you ask me, but I do hope if they go for him that it is somebody that maybe he's over the injury bug or whatever. Cincinnati reportedly has interest in him, and I get it. A lot of teams probably do have interest in him because he does have athleticism. He does have size. He can go after it. We all get it. He's recovering from an ACL injury he suffered his senior season in high school when he first came into the draft. Then after a real good, strong rookie campaign, it was just another nagging injury after another nagging injury, etc. Macaron goes into a couple other guys I don't know enough about to even speak intelligently about. So maybe he's done his due diligence. Maybe he's just filling up the press, the story article on this one. Aguirre, I think we're all going to agree, though, that we know of, unless you're going to trade for Trey Hendrickson or somebody else, he's probably the best remaining guy out there in free agency. Will Brad Holmes, the Lions, go for him? Man, I don't know. But this is kind of a segue into our main topic of the day, so let's get to it. All right, main topic of the day. We've all talked about it to some level. What is the plan for Brad Holmes? You know, he's always playing chess while the rest of us are playing checkers. whatever kind of, analogy you want to say, we all get it. He's got a plan, and he's been sticking to that plan. He's made some real nice cost-efficient additions to the Lions this year, whether it's just re-signing our own guys, which, hey, there's a lot of validity to that. Take care of the people that got you there, and if they were good enough to get you 15 wins a year ago, imagine if you keep developing them, keep grooming them, they play well, they stay healthy, and we add another draft. So in the draft, I know everybody is talking about, hey, this mock draft, that mock draft. I didn't really want to go there with it today, but I do think there's a couple of people of interest, and I think the evidence is more and more clear that Brad Holmes, we all get it. You've watched enough of his drafts. You can say, trade here, trade there. It does seem to be where he's the most active in making trades. Moments ago, we talked about Gibbs being traded for the Lions, making a trade that ultimately resulted in Jahmyr Gibbs and then Sam Laporta. Lions traded down from 6 to 12, but also remember when we traded up from, whatever it was, 30 or something like that, 31 or something, somewhere in that range to get to number 12 to get Jameson Williams. That was a massive trade, a massive move, and it really didn't cost a ton. Could something like that happen here? Well, let's also look at the evidence for Brad Holmes in trades. We've talked about Broderick Martin's trade left and right. Giovanni Manu, we all get it. We traded for him. Sion Vaki, we made moves to move up to get him. And I think this is going to be the year where the Lions make another move in the first round. Who will it be? I think it would be a defensive edge, and I do think it's going to have to be somewhere in the early 20s to maybe you can push up into the mid-teens. But there's two people I think, and I'm just going to give you my opinion. I don't have a source saying, hey, this is what the Lions are going to do. I don't have any kind of corroborating information, but when I look at the evidence for Brad Holmes, the type of players he likes to go for when making these trades, I think here are the two guys that jump out of the paper on me, or the, whatever you say, jump out at me. One would be Mike Green. We all get it. He's all sorts of athletic. He's, the guy's a playmaker, at least last year. He's 6'3", somewhere in the neighborhood of 250-ish pounds. Mike Green will be one of the most sought after defensive players in the 2025 NFL draft because he is polarizing. He's got wide open class ability, just athleticism you and I can't teach. And you guys have heard me say it on the show before. As a coach, when I'm trying to mold somebody, develop somebody, there's things that you can teach them. There's things you can't teach them. Mike Green and the next gentleman have tons of things you can't teach them. I don't have his RAS score. I tried to find it, but I couldn't find it anywhere. I don't know if maybe it's just not out yet. We all get it. He had double-digit sacks last year. He just had a massive season, which is why he's in this conversation. Now, if they were to go for Mike Green, in my anticipation, you probably got to move up to somewhere around 22, 25 to get him. So not a major move. Still going to cost, but not a major move. I could be completely wrong, but that's where I'm putting him in my mocks, even though I haven't done a mock here on the channel for a while. I think you're going to have to move up probably 5-ish spots to acquire him. If you get him, he gives much needed athleticism to that opposite defensive edge of Hutch. Something we really haven't had. I know he's not here anymore, but we really haven't had that kind of athleticism, that kind of speed and veracity since we let James Houston go. And I'm not here to say that that was the wrong move to let him go because, he kind of lost some of his abilities, whether it was because of the injury or whatever. The next one is the one I would make the move for. And yes, it is going to cost a wee bit. James Pierce Jr. You talk about, just like we did with Mike Green, something you can't teach, stuff you can't do. He's 6'5", and he's right around the 250 pounds, same as Green. Now, his RAS score I do have, and that RAS is a 9.38. So you remember a couple of seasons ago when we got Jack Campbell, everybody was jumping up and down about his 9.85 or something like that RAS score. Is he as straight line fast as it was Campbell, as straight line fast as Pierce Jr.? No, but his agility, his ability to go sideline to sideline, all that stuff, the cone drill, the 3-step hurdle, all that stuff. He was incredibly rare, which is why I think the Lions ultimately moved on to go get him at number 18. They knew it would take some time to polish him up, get him right, but you can't teach what Jack Campbell has. Jack Campbell's got size, he's got motor, he's got, just all the stuff you can't teach other than the 40. Not that his 40-yard dash was bad or anything, it's end line speed. And James Pierce, when I look at him, I think you see a lot of the same metrics. Now, I know there's some alleged questions about his personality, but for every one person who says he's got this, in a bad way, you got also people that say, no, it's this in a good way. So you would have to trust that in your interview processes with him, that you're able to identify what he really is from a mental component. I do think you're going to have to trade him somewhere into the 13, 15, maybe if you're real lucky, if the board goes your way, get him somewhere around 18 or 19. If you could add him or Mike Green, I don't think any of us watching this channel would be upset if we added one of them. But if you could add James Pierce, to me, you're putting the fear of God into the other quarterback. You got to block Aiden Hutchinson. You got to block Aleem McNeil. You got to block James Pierce Jr. You got to block Marcus Davenport and just a ton of rotational guys. He is rare, in my opinion, because when you watch the film on him, if you watch this channel for a while, I used to say when you would view James Houston, watch his bend, watch his dip, it's unteachable. What he could do to put opposing tackles in really peril is just something you can't replicate. I don't care how much teaching you do, you couldn't teach any kind of defensive edge what James Houston could do. When I watch Pierce Jr., you watch when he gets even with the offensive tackle, he is dusting that guy. He is leaving them behind. There's just no blocking this guy once he gets some seasoning in him, probably a little bit more upper body and core muscle. That's more Jen's house than my house. But I would say if you can build up his core strength, his midsection and his upper body, work on the hand placement and shredding a little bit more, I think the Lions could have one of the best results you could possibly go into this draft and get. There aren't a ton of guys that I would say are generational potential talents. Carter, without question, that dude, he's just on their level, and that's probably why he's going to be one of the top 4 picks. I don't see a scenario on planet Earth or in this universe where the Lions are going to trade up to number 1 through 4 to get him, so take him off the board. After him at edge, that's where I think things get a little bit, just different, because you look at so many of the guys out there, and I think there's some strong edges out there. Mekhi Williams, hey, I wouldn't be crying if we took him. Shamir Stewart, the same thing. I think they're all awesome. I think Jahad Campbell, I think he's going to be gone in kind of the same reasons as Pierce, just because his rarity when it comes to the athleticism, I should say. I think he's going to be gone well before we can ever try to trade up to get to him. And there's a couple other guys on the list you could say for sure. But so if you can't get Campbell, and I don't think he should be a full-time defensive end in this league. He's just a little too light. He's 6'2", and I want to say 230 pounds. His RAS score is nearly perfect, by the way. He's a 9.87, so 9.99 is the top. And let me tell you, guy, if he fell down, I would not be sad, but you would have to add probably 15, 20 pounds, which I do wonder if that would start affecting his natural abilities. So assuming you take them all off the board, I do think there's a real strong case for the Lions to make a move up to get either Mike Green or James Pierce Jr. My question to you guys, though, in the morning show here, what would you have to give up to get up to number 15 or so to get Pierce Jr.? I do think Green is going to fall to somewhere around 19 to 22, maybe 25, so maybe you wouldn't have to give up a ton. But if you could get either one of these or somebody else, if there's somebody I missed, somebody you think the Lions should absolutely go after and get in NFL Draft Day, round number 1, throw it in the comment section. Let me know. All right. Sorry if I've been a little tongue-tied twisted this morning. Let's get over to the Duke Crew, see what you guys have to say. But I really think the move is, and it probably has been a part of the plan for Brad Holmes all along. We're going to beef up the interior defensive line. We're going to add a few more, depth rotational guys here and there, and we're going to be active on draft day, 1 or 2, and make some moves to really bolster up this team. We talked about it last year and it ended up being right. I think we're going to be talking about it this year when everything's said and done with the draft to say we can't keep 7 or 8 draft picks. We've got to make some moves to acquire targeted players of interest. All right, let's get to you guys. JDC, morning all, back at you. Bo, good Sunday morning, Duke Crew. So far, so good. Exclamation point. Woo! And good morning to you too. JDC, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. I like the way you're thinking. Stephanie, good morning, boys. Exclamation point. I think this is the most likely scenario. We make a draft day move or 2 for some pass rushing help. It could be that, we spend the first couple rounds on defensive edge. I don't think any of us would be upset if we make that happen. Although I do wonder if we go edge in round 1, maybe we go defensive tackle in round 2, just because DJ Reader won't be here more than likely a year from now. Bo, we've not begun to fight, exclamation point. Oh, yeah, you're all right with that, my friend. Jessica, how is the Duke crew today? Question mark. Our offense is set. Now, if we can just add a bit more to the defense, I think we are Super Bowl bound. I think you are correct with that. Big Eddie, greetings, salutations, Duke crew. Go get Mike Green. He has the speed this defense needs. Hey, we got a need for speed, and I agree. Mike Green, I like him a whole lot. I like James Pierce Jr. a little bit more, though, although, you're probably splitting hairs between both of them to a certain degree. I don't think anybody's crying if we get one or either of them. Bird time. Good morning, Dan. Happy Sunday. Go Lions. Woo! And back at you. I did see you shot me a message on Facebook. Sorry, I haven't got to it yet. I'll get to it a little bit later today. John, good morning, Dan, and the world famous Duke crew. Good to see you, Johnny. Hopefully it's a good morning. Bird time. Good morning, JDC. One Sunday closer to Lions football. One pride. Man, we are getting closer. JDC, morning at you, Bert. Trey Tippin, what's good, everybody? Morning, JDC and Bert. Tori, so who is the best defense end we could reasonably make a move to get in the draft? I mean, a lot of it just comes down to how the board falls. And I'm not going to do a breakdown on who's going to go after what or whatever. Let's just assume for the sake of discussion, if we want to walk through it real quick, Tennessee Titans probably going offensive line, especially the rumors are they're going to sign Aaron Rodgers. We'll have to wait and see. Could the Browns go Cam Ward at quarterback? Man, I'll leave that to you guys to debate. But you just look at the board. I do think Carter, it will be the first defensive player off the board, and that's going to be somewhere in the top 4. After that, you probably do start seeing other defensive players go off the board. I don't think it's going to be like last year where you had one defender in the top, whatever it was, 20 draft picks or so. But, man, if that happens, Lions are probably going to be the beneficiaries of it. I think Will Johnson probably goes somewhere in the top 10-ish. Campbell already said probably top 15-ish. Stewart, I think his stock has gone up because of the combine. I once thought maybe the Lions have a shot at him in the mid-20s. I don't think that's the case anymore. Same with Mekhi Williams. And then I'll go through the rest there. But you guys get it, man. You're probably going to have to move up if you want to get a defensive player this year versus last year. Man Bear, good morning, all. I trust everyone enjoyed St. Patty's Day yesterday. 100%, my friend. I'll be enjoying it more on Monday. JDC, and the great Sunday morning to you, Trey. Go Lions. Back at you both. France, have we considered getting James Pierce? I have considered that, by the way. Some question about his personality, but I wonder if that's accurate info. Here's what I'd say. You could Google it when you guys get off the show today, or while you're watching the show. Google James Pierce Jr., and you hear some people saying it's the coaches. He had an issue with the coaches. Coaches were, knuckleheads or whatever. I don't know, man. I don't know the guy personally. I haven't watched enough film on him to know one thing or the other. If there are personality issues, then you probably need to go Mike Green. But I'm going to have to leave that to the scouting department and everybody at the Detroit Lions to determine. Is Pierce the issue? Was it something at the school that's the issue? That I don't know. But if there's a red flag, you and I both get it. They're not taking them. All right, Henry, good rainy morning, Coach Dan and Duke crew. What a team. What a podcast. What time be a Lions fan. Woo! Stay dry, everyone. Go Lions. Yes, I got to put the car outside later after the show for that free car wash. 5 fingers Freddy. Stop being cheap, Brad. Exclamation point. Make a move that really improves the team. Let's see what they do. Troy D, good morning, Duke crew. And back at you, D. Hopefully it is the right one. Drake, good morning, all. Time to cut Goff and draft his replacement. Maybe we should sign Rodgers for a season or two. There was actually a report I saw about the Lions signing Rodgers, but let's be real, man. The Lions aren't moving off Goff. They're not signing Aaron Rodgers. I don't see that happening in any way, shape, or form. But been wrong before, right, Drake? Detroit D, I want Mike Green. I think a lot of us do. I wouldn't be sad if we got him, man. He would add some much-needed versatility to that line. Susan Scott, so what do you got? Good morning, good Duke crew. Green or Pierce Jr. would be nice ads for us. I concur. I think they both would be. And, not that Nick Thornton or some of the other guys wouldn't be. I like their size. I just think, man, this defense needs more speed up front. And both of those other guys, Williams and Thornton, or however you say his name, they've got athleticism. I'm not discrediting them. But I think those other two guys just have a lot more of it. Mike, yeah, I knew we were going with that, Detroit D. I got you, man. Quentin, greetings, salutations. Green ain't no joke, and I bet he is around it at 28. I could see him being around in that conversation there, but just like I'm talking about, you can't teach what he has. There's going to be other teams that are going to put a premium on that because you know what? You get to you limit mobile quarterbacks when everybody else is faster around them. All right, Detroit D, good edge rushers don't last past 15? Probably not. Probably not indeed. So, how far do we need to move up and how much do we need to give up? Whew. I think if you really want one of those two guys where you know you're going to get them, one, you're not making a trade until draft day until you know they're there. But my guess is, yeah, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 16, 19 or whatever, some of that range. What you're going to have to give up to get them, you're probably giving up a second round a little bit more. And that's a heavy cost. I get it, giving up a second rounder. But let's be honest, if you're in that spot and you're that team, you're going to need a reason to move out of there. So if I'm right, you give up this year's second, maybe fifth round or something like that. Anyway, I'm just speculating here. And you move up and get the guy you want. Now you're going to have to rely filling in other holes in the round 3 or whatever. Voltron Forrest laughing out loud. What the heck? Oh, we're right. I don't think we're getting rid of Goff or signing Rodgers. There you go. Detroit D, our first and second round picks should be edge players. Could be indeed. I think we'll make that move. Michigan Panther Pride, good morning, all. It's been a long week. I'm glad I made this show. Hey, welcome back here, my friend. Hey, kick back, relax. Hopefully get over the long week. Dale, greetings, salutations, Duke Crew. I think Hooker will be traded on day 1 of the draft. Could Brad and AG have a backroom deal brokered already? Yeah, could be 100%. Pat, Nick Thornton, maybe indeed. Phil, good morning. Back at you. Love the thumbnail. Trumps, agreed. I think Hooker will be used to move up a little in the first round. I just wonder how much trade value he really has. I mean, could you move from 28 to 27? Maybe. Burger time. Good morning, Trey. The Trim Reaper. What up, Coach and Duke Crew? Woo! And back at you. Dave Ming, morning. Dale, yes, indeed. Trump's a genius. David, Brad is averaging 4 starters per draft. Keep the draft picks. I'll go with that indeed. And yeah, he's done a great job with the drafts. Boss Up Ball Up Podcast. What up, though, Duke Crew? What up, Man of Steel? Jim, I think Hooker just needs work. Keep him and challenge him. I like the idea you got there, Jim. Michigan Panther Pride, Boss Up Ball Podcast, Detroit Lions. What up, though? Jim, we can move up in the draft by trading picks. Yeah, could be indeed. Coach Rock, good morning. All just saying good luck to Brad and his cookbook. How about that? Derek, good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. I watched some film on Ashton Gentry. Wow, exclamation point. Keep this kid out of Chicago, please. We'll see if we can keep him on out. Trim Reaper, I've been driving in for years, son. All right, you've been driving? All right, good. All right, Hookadoo. Good morning, Dooku. I overslept. Hey, it happens, man. It happens to all of us. Michigan Panther Pride. Hookadoo, good morning. Hookadoo, morning, Bergs. Grit. Berg time. Good morning, brother Hookadoo. Go Lions. One Pride. Grit. Sarge, hey. Sarge, I haven't seen you in a minute. Good to see you, my friend. Greetings, salutations, Dan, and all. Exclamation point. When is the draft? April. So we got a little bit of time still until we have it. Hookadoo, back at you, Michigan Panther Pride. Pat, where are you going? When are you going to a mock draft? Or yeah, all right. Pat, I've done 1 mock draft so far. I guess it is getting close to time to do a second mock draft. So, maybe sometime this week or something, we'll record one and just throw a video up. I don't mind doing them live, but probably leave that for a video. John, what makes the Lions battle scars? We'll find out. Wayne, greetings from Lions headquarters, East Coast, Portsmouth, Rhode Island. Woo! Oh, yeah. Thanks for the show. Anytime, Wayne. Good to see you, my friend. Pat, I still think we need is to improve our defense, especially pass rush. Yeah, I agree with you, Pat. I think that is priority number 1. Leonard, morning, Coach Dan, and the one and only Duke Crew thought about the splashing on a pass rush. I'm okay, Holmes, not running the Lions like a politician and spend like the government. There you go. Yeah, he's being cost efficient for sure. Trim Reaper, best show on turf, baby. Oh, yeah. Thank you for that. Thank you very much for that. Derek, remember last year we were top 10 in red zone defense, only game with over 100 yards rushing allowed and only 21 points per game allowed on average. Not bad for a bunch of misfits. Can I get a woo? Amen. You want a woo? I'll give you a woo. How about a 1, 2, and a 3? And there you go. Miles Martin, Coach, Crew, laughing out loud. Wayne, good morning, Hookadoo, Michigan Panther Pride, Grit, Benjamin from Southern Arkansas. We missed the tornadoes. Hey, congrats on that, man. That's a good miss. It's kind of like Brad missing the potent free agency. We both may have another storm coming. Good luck in the draft, 100%. And hey, stay safe, my friend. I know the storms tore up a lot of different places. We had some winds here, just not tornadoes. Rocky, what do you got? Starting to wonder if Brad not an offensive-minded GM. Well, look at the offense, man. He's drafted a lot of guys. I think right now he's prioritizing defense. So could be wrong though. Michigan Panther Pride, good morning, sir. Dale, 70-30 split. Gibbs, Monty would be fine. Got you there. And yeah, man, Gibbs, the dude is rare. I think you got to get him the ball a little bit more. David P, keep them at 50-50 until the playoffs, then start feeding Gibbs more. Probably like 75-25. That's not a bad idea there, David. Not a bad idea at all. Keith, good morning, greetings, salutations. Dan of the Duke Crew, exclamation point. Go Lions, and back at you, Keith. William, I think Gibbs should probably get 55 to 60% of the touches. Monty is still really good. We don't want to wear Gibbs out. No, good call there. Yeah, and keep him fresh, keep him healthy. Hookadoo, top of the morning. Miles Martin, one pride. Thomas, good morning, Mr. Dan. Back at you. Phil, college basketball. Is Wisconsin that good, or did MSU play that poorly? Played that poorly, I believe. Although Wisconsin, don't discredit them. They're pretty good. Jordan Reber, Gibbs should get the Lions share of the carries this season, in your opinion. I see what you did there. The Bo plan. Yes, he is back, my friend. Thomas, Gibbs should hit 1,500 yards this season. I think more than most running backs in this league. I'll say more than 99% of all the running backs. If the Lions wanted him to have a 2,000, maybe a 3,000 yard season between rushing and receiving, he could do it. He could do it with this offense. Pat Davenport, I would not count on at all. If they get 1 or 2 games out of him, they are. Then you go. He certainly isn't the answer. Hope they get someone in the draft. 100%. Woo! Oh yeah, Pat. I think they're gonna, like we've been talking about today. I think they're gonna go after it in the draft. Lauren Strickland has a lot of potential. I think so too, man. I really like that kid. I do. Pat, nobody but the team knows the plan for this team. Keeping a fresh legs on the field means rotating the running backs. I agree with that. Michigan Panther Pride. I like seeing Timmy P getting resigned. Yeah, me too, man. I like him. He is a prototypical Lion. Pat, I like Landon Jackson out of Arkansas, 6'6", 280 pounds. Oh yeah. Let's see, Dirk. Brad is thinking about keeping us out of camp purgatory. I concur with that 1,000,000,000%. We won't have much money left next year, so I don't see any big moves, additions to the team. Yeah, and if we can keep some money free this year, carry it over to next year, even better. Dave P, 15 wins with half the defense on IR at any given time. There doesn't need to be any huge moves. Brad will move up and grab an edge guy. I think that's what they're going to do. And hey, I'm giving you guys my thoughts. I can't wait to read your thoughts. JDC, Dre Force rocks, and he rolls. Keith, I love Monty, but even he knows if you listen to him that Gibbs is a superstar in the making. Exclamation point. Gibbs should get 70% of the carries. Go Lions, Super Bowl bound. Woo! Oh, yeah. All right, I'll go with all that. Server. Good morning, Coach, everyone. Good to see you, Surf. Coach Rock, Brad will keep his cooking recipes to himself. He could trade for enough to get a Mike Green and grab a wide receiver, or so just saying. Yeah, 100%. All that could be true. But they will not take Mike Green. He is not a choir boy. He has a few things against him that are question marks off the field. I didn't know that. I'll have to check into that, Pat. Thank you for that. Amy, greetings, salutations, Dan of the Duke Crew, exclamation point. Can I get a Sheila? Woo! Everyone have a super day. You know what, Amy? I know you've had some battles getting back on the show, so let's give you a Sheila. 1, 2, and a 3. Thank you for all your efforts. Dale, woo! Oh, yeah, Coach and the Duke Crew are the best. No, you're the best, Dale. We're all the best. We're a collective group. We're like, 15 robot lions coming together to form Voltron. Dave Pete, feed Gibbs too much, and he will be retired in 3 years. Protect him. Yeah, protect him from himself a little bit. Jeremy River, let's go green baby. Exclamation points. Oh, woo! How about that? Phil, we truly do not know these new coaches on the Lions staff. Lions may look a bit different than we are used to. Yeah, 100%. No questions there. I think you're spot on with that, Philly. Dale, I got a study up on Green and Pierce. I like them both. I'm aware that there's some commentary on Pierce's off the field stuff. I just don't know enough to have really an informed opinion on it. Mike Green, I was not aware there were any conversations about him in that regard, but both of them, man, athletic freaks of nature. And Pierce, I mean, if Mike Green is, I'll put it this way, superhero talk. If Mike Green's Batman, then Pierce might be Superman. I mean, they're both good. One might be a little bit better though. Pat, they will not take James Pierce either. They say he is lazy. They say he is lazy, takes plays off. They say he is lazy, takes plays off. Okay, yep, we'll go with that. Server. I'd go after Kenneth Grant, if not unreachable. Edge in the late rounds. I know they stacked defensive tackle, but Reader probably gone at the season. Yes, I agree with you, Silver Server. They might look to try to address the defensive tackle spot, being a little forward thinking, knowing that next year, Reader might be gone. Levi to resign, and you always need big men in the middle. You do indeed. Giovanni Lyons the second. I never get to make alive, but trade at first round for Hendrickson. Get their fourth or fifth. Hey, I go with that, and good to see you, my friend. I see you in here every once in a while, so just glad to have you here. JDC Motor City Duke Crew, back at you. Sheila Wu, you want one? Man, we're giving a model in Wade today. And there you go, my friend, for making it alive. Burger time. Sorry, can't depend on Davenport until he proves everyone wrong. That guy sneezes and gets hurt. No, I think you're spot on. I would not put a lot of weight in him. You look at his contract, though, it looks like Brad Holmes had the same mindset. We're not going to give you much, but, if you earn it, you earn it. Server, come on. Davenport is not being counted on as a foundational piece. He gets a bonus, a plus, a possibility of, if luck, with his fragile body. Blah, blah, blah. There we go. Vince E., good morning, Coach Dan of the Duke Crew. Woo! Back at you, E. Rock. Teams will go up beat offense to keep the rotation from getting on the field. Yeah, they'll try to go up tempo a little bit. See what you can do to counter that, though. Phil, will the Lions reduce some key players' camp work to prevent injuries? Maybe, but you need to get in that camp work to get ready for the season. There's a him and a haw with it all. JDC, getting real in the D, go Lions, yada, yada, badass. Now, talk about somebody I haven't seen in a minute. Good to see you. Good morning, Coach and Duke Crew. Let me get a woo. Oh, yeah. You know what? Man, we are giving these things away today. How about a 1, 2, and a 3? Good to see you, man. It has been a hot minute. Miles Marker, hi, Giovanni Lyons. Glad you could make it today. One pride. I'll go with that. David P. Davenport is a beast. Exclamation point. If he stays healthy, your haters will eat those words. Yeah, he's got to stay healthy, though. That's the thing. He can only, I look at it this way with Davenport. He can only go one direction. The floor, he's already at the floor as far as everybody's expectations. You can't do worse than what everybody's expecting. Everybody's expecting the first snap of the game, he's out for the season. So if he makes it a game or 2 games or whatever it ends up being, you know what? Good for him, man. We've got more out of him than we anticipated. All right, Frank think Jack Campbell is a bad man. He is a man I see Detroit Lions making up in draft of 32 top. Get one extra pick in the top 100. Go Lions. Woo! I'll go with that, Tank, and that's a lot of woos. Phil, the Lions seem to pay attention to practice squad players and use them. Do they concentrate more than other teams? I think they've got an eye for talent, but a lot of that, as we've talked about, they do a great job with scouting department as far as, the college ranks, bringing players into the draft, but their in-league scouting department also probably needs some praise because when they do reach out to other teams, practice squads, and acquire players or players that have been cut, they typically hit on those, I should say. J-Mo Lion King, Phil, I respectfully disagree. The fundamentals of physical football come from camp work. You can't be afraid to let them work. Yeah, you can't be afraid to get hurt. You can't be afraid to scrimmage. You can't be afraid to do that stuff. If you protect them too much, then they don't develop. So I get what you're saying there, Lion King. JDC, I will throw out in a woo or 2. Woo! All right, we'll go with that. Hey, and thank you for that, JDC. Frank Tank, FTGB, yeah, I'll go with all that because I can't read all that. Philly, go Lions. I'm down with that. Phil, J-Mo, thumbs up. Pat, they will not take Pierce. They say he is lazy and takes plays off. That Lions, true Lions will never take him off. I hope I'm wrong with the kid. And again, I don't know his personality. I see conflicting information regarding what you and a couple other people are saying. But I'll say this. Somebody who's been around a while, sometimes they try to throw tags on people anytime they can to push them down the draft so the team leaking that information can go get them. So is that being done intentionally here? I don't know enough to say one way or the other. We'll have to wait and see. William, Brad did it last year. We went 15-2, and people were upset because we didn't spend tons of cash. We have Gibbs, Branch, Hutch, Williams, Laporta to sign coming up. Glad Brad's smart with cash. Yes, he is indeed. David P., I can see Brad trade up in defensive end for the first in the first again, second round, get a stud defense tackle. No need for all these picks this year or next. All right, JDC, new drink the Woo Bar, Lions Talk Live, mock draft beer coming soon. Michael, what would we have to give up to keep our first round pick and get move up for Pierce Jr.? Well, we'd have to give them our first to get their first, and then probably some other stuff too. All right, guys, I got to cut off the show a little early today, so sorry I can't get through all the comments. I got to get going to a couple different things. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Also, if you would, hit that thumbs up button. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hey, do something kind for somebody you don't know. And if there is breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as quick as possible. But I'll see you all on the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.
Excuse me, sir, would you... Donations to the Reverend Moon? Jews for Jesus? Read about Jehovah's Witness? How about Buddhism? Help Jerry's kids? Oh, yeah. Scientology? Or nuclear power?